Hi everybody, today's review is of the Benchmade model 915 Triage. Just a note to Australian viewers that due to law changes surrounding the importation of folding blade knives into Australia, as of Christmas 2011, the ability to get Benchmade knives has gone from quite hard to now impossible. With the law changes, it has stopped the importation of any Benchmade folding blades into the country, particularly those with access locking mechanism. And when you buy the knife, it comes in this black box, black's being representative that this is part of Benchmade's black class of knives. We have a paper insert here that has knife maintenance and warranty information, and a nice soft pouch to store the knife in. In terms of the knife itself, we have a N680 blade which is 88mm or around about 4 3/4 inches in length. The blade thickness is 3mm. We have a textured G10 handle which is 120 or around about 4 3/4 inches in length. Quite a thick handle to the knife at 13mm or around about half an inch thick, and weighs in at a hefty 5.1 ounces. Now this is designed as a rescue knife, and as such we have a sheepfoot blade, we have a hooked shaped safety cutter, and then on the end here we have a replaceable carbide glass breaker. Okay, as it's a rescue knife, it needs to work with gloves, and it does. It works well. If we just show you here with gloves on, I've got quite big hands, I'm 6'2". Anyway, with gloves on, I've got more than enough handle real estate here. I don't have any issues with either plying or putting the blade away. One hand opening is no problem, and we'll just try and do a fast deploy here. Yeah, you can do it with gloves on. In terms of the rescue cutter, I find the best way to deploy this is to try and move your thumb at a right angle. So jamming your thumb in there, it does deploy. Not the easiest in the world, you probably need to practice a bit, and now ready for cutting. You'll just notice that on here the thumb stud is actually level with the handle material. That just makes sure that when you're using the knife normally it doesn't get in the way or accidentally deploy. It does mean it is a bit harder to deploy when you need to, and like I say, probably use some practice. Okay. It does have a deep carry clip on it. Doesn't carry all the way down, but quite deep. It is reversible onto the other side. Unfortunately, it is only tip up carry. It doesn't support tip down carry because there really is nowhere on here to put in the mounting holes for that clip. I do find that that my fingers just sit quite well just behind the clip, which means my fingers are out of the way if I'm going to fast deploy the knife. So I think by accident that's quite a nice feature. I put a short lanyard onto the knife. The reason for this is just to help with, especially with gloves, try and manipulate some of the things on the knife. For example, if I wanted to get out the safety cutter, I would use the lanyard. In my hand, I'm free to use my thumb here. Same again, if I wanted to hand open the knife, I can lock the lanyard here and safely deploy the blade. And what I try to do is have the length just over 3 fingers in length, with quite a large knot on the end. So when I've got gloves on or whatever, I've got something to grip onto. And does help too with taking the knife out of the sheath, and there's quite a nice sheath I'll show you in a minute. In terms of the safety cutter, it's quite nice, very reminiscent of Benchmade's, and this is the number 5 rescue cutter, and it is just slightly, this is just slightly smaller than the number 5, so if you've got that you'll be aware of what you can cut with the rescue cutter. Cuts through paracord like butter. It does quite well with climbing ropes, depending on the thickness of course. I've even cut through extension cord. Cut through it a number of times just to see what it's capable of. Obviously there was some damage I had to touch up because we're cutting through quite thick metal wire, but yeah, it is capable. It is good. Okay, in terms of for likes of the blade, I do like the blade itself and the deployment. nice quick deployment. The heavy weight helps the blade come out. Solid lock up with the access blade here. A little bit of movement because I did change the friction here on the blade just so it's easy to deploy. You could easily fix that, but only slight. Overall, it's a good design. As I say, it's good use with gloves. I mean, we can see here that coming up to the deployment stud, how the material has been taken out here. And what happens is you actually just force your thumb in, it guides it in, there's no traction stopping it. And that's the reason that this works with gloves. Either one-hand deployment, using the thumb here, or even using your other hand and pulling the blade out. So yeah, good design, well thought out. A couple of things I don't like about it. One is the jimping. So we have some jimping right here, you can see. Unfortunately, the jimping's only on the liner and isn't on the GT material on the outside. And what that means, well, not only is it small, but to get any grip on that, you really have to, you're almost forcing the flesh if you wrap your fingers in there to get some sort of grip, which means with gloves, there's no grip. We have the same on the bottom. Again, the jimping is on the liner and not on the G10 on the outside. Same issue. Second issue I have with this is around about weight. It all does add up. It's not, I mean, it's a weighty knife. It's not the heaviest knife around, but when you're carrying other gear, yeah, it does make a difference. I often found that I have to make a choice between carrying this knife or carry my multi-tool, in this case a Leatherman Charge. Because carrying both, although it would be nice, just weighs too much, especially with all the other stuff I've got to carry. I recommend, if you're going to carry this knife, that you look at the sheath. This in fact is the Maxpedition 5-inch flashlight sheath. The reason I like it is one, that the loop is actually stitched on, which will cause an issue with some belts, as you may not be able to get it over the belt. But it's locked in there, it's not going anywhere. There is some molly attachments here if you want to. It does fit a malice clip. But this is, it's almost like it's designed to fit in. Fits all the way down, you know, nice velcro on here. Obviously we have on the end here this carbide glass breaker tip, so this covers it nicely, so if you're getting stabbed. And again, the short lanyard comes into play, especially with gloves. I can use that to pull the knife out, which could be fiddly otherwise. Okay, overall, I like this knife. It's really nice. It's quality. It's a nice big knife. Like I say, it does have some issues with weight. Even without the jimping, the fact that it does have a nice high traction. Not the most, you know, best traction in the world, but it is a nice high traction. Certainly locks the blade in hand. Like it a lot. Unfortunately for you guys in Australia, if you haven't got one already, your chance of getting one anytime soon isn't just going to happen. Hope you enjoy the review.